For more free African history resources, please go directly to our website or click the links below.
The history of the bean pie in African-American Muslim culture. Muslims in America. The presence of Muslims in America dates back centuries before the waves of 20th century immigration. The earliest known Muslims in America were Africans. Historians estimate that between 20 to 30% of Africans were Muslims, hailing primarily from West Africa, where Islam had been established for centuries. Historical accounts state that Mansa Abubakar II, who was a 14th century West African ruler of the Mali Empire, traveled across the Atlantic Ocean to the Americas. He abdicated his throne to explore the ocean, believing there were lands beyond the horizon. It is said that he launched a fleet of 2,000 ships, but he never returned. Some historians suggest he may have reached the Americas before Columbus. These early Muslim Africans brought with them Islamic traditions, Arabic literacy, and Quranic knowledge, but slavery severely restricted their ability to practice openly. Despite forced conversion to Christianity, some continued to practice Islam in secret, incorporating Islamic customs into their daily lives. Notable early American Muslims include Omar ibn Said, a highly educated scholar from Senegal, who wrote an autobiography in Arabic while enslaved in the U.S., the Nation of Islam. The Nation of Islam, NOI, is a religious and social movement founded in 1930 AD by Wallace D. Fard Muhammad in Detroit, Michigan. The movement emerged as a response to the struggles of African Americans facing racial injustice, economic hardship, and spiritual disenfranchisement. The Nation of Islam combined elements of Islam, black nationalism, and self-sufficiency, advocating for economic empowerment, discipline, and moral reform within the black community. After Fard Muhammad's disappearance in 1934 AD, Elijah Muhammad took leadership and expanded the movement significantly. Under his guidance, the Nation of Islam emphasized racial pride and strict dietary laws. He taught that black people were the original people of the world and that they should strive for independence from white society. During his leadership, the Nation of Islam established businesses, schools, farms, and mosques, promoting self-reliance. After Elijah Muhammad's death in 1975 AD, his son Warith Deen Muhammad transitioned many followers toward Orthodox Sunni Islam, while Louis Farrakhan later revived the Nation of Islam in its original form. Today, the Nation of Islam remains a significant force in black American communities, focusing on social justice, education, and self-determination. The Nation of Islam played a crucial role in reviving Islamic identity among African Americans, leading to the growth of Sunni Islam within black communities. Today, the legacy of the first Muslims in America is reflected in the diverse and thriving Muslim population across the country. Their perseverance laid the foundation for the rich Islamic presence seen in the U.S. today. The bean pie. The bean pie is a unique and culturally significant dish that holds deep historical and religious importance for African American Muslims. This dessert, made primarily from navy beans, is closely tied to the Nation of Islam, NOI, and has become a symbol of self-sufficiency, health consciousness, and cultural identity. The history of the bean pie is intertwined with the broader story of African American struggle, empowerment, and religious expression, making it more than just a dish, but a representation of resilience and transformation. Origins of the bean pie. The bean pie was first introduced in the 1930s by Elijah Muhammad, the leader of the Nation of Islam. Under his leadership, the NOI sought to uplift African Americans through religious teachings, economic self-sufficiency, and dietary reform. Elijah Muhammad taught that Black Americans should adopt a diet that was both nutritious and culturally distinct from the unhealthy eating habits imposed during slavery and segregation. In his book, How to Eat to Live, Elijah Muhammad emphasized the importance of healthy eating and discouraged the consumption of traditional soul food staples such as pork, fried foods, and heavily processed ingredients. Instead, he promoted wholesome, natural foods, with a particular emphasis on the navy bean. He taught that navy beans were divinely prescribed as a nutritious and beneficial food for Black people, capable of improving health and longevity. The role of the bean pie in the Nation of Islam. The bean pie became a culinary staple within the Nation of Islam and quickly spread beyond its religious context. Unlike many traditional American desserts that rely heavily on refined sugars and unhealthy fats, the bean pie is made from pureed navy beans, eggs, milk, butter, sugar, and spices such as cinnamon and nutmeg. Its flavor is often compared to sweet potato pie or pumpkin pie, with a smooth custard-like texture. The pie's popularity was further amplified by NOI bakeries and businesses, which began producing and selling it within Black Muslim communities. Members of the Nation of Islam, particularly the Fruit of Islam, FOI, and Muslim Girls Training, MGT, and General Civilization class, were encouraged to promote self-reliance by baking and selling bean pies as part of their economic and outreach efforts. The pie was often sold in cities with strong NOI communities such as Chicago, Detroit, New York, and Philadelphia. In addition to being a source of income for NOI members, the bean pie became a tool for religious outreach and cultural identity. Members of the Nation of Islam would distribute bean pies alongside copies of the Final Call, the NOI's official newspaper, using these items as a way to engage people in discussions about health, faith, and empowerment. The bean pie as a symbol of self-sufficiency. One of the key teachings of Elijah Muhammad was the idea that African Americans should strive for economic independence and self-sufficiency. The bean pie, as a homemade and locally sold product, fit perfectly into this philosophy. Instead of relying on processed, commercially produced desserts, NOI members encouraged the community to embrace homemade, nutrient-rich foods that aligned with their religious and cultural values. This emphasis on self-reliance extended beyond food. The NOI built a vast network of businesses, including bakeries, grocery stores, restaurants, and farms, all aimed at fostering economic independence within Black communities. The bean pie became a symbol of empowerment, representing the ability of African Americans to take control of their health, diet, and economic future. The evolution of the bean pie in African American Muslim culture. Over the decades, the bean pie has expanded beyond the Nation of Islam and become a beloved dessert among African American Muslims in general. Even those who do not follow NOI teachings still appreciate the pie as a cultural icon. Today, it is commonly found at mosques, community gatherings, and family celebrations, especially in cities with large African American Muslim populations. The bean pie's legacy continues through bakeries and home cooks who keep the tradition alive. Some businesses specialize in producing and selling bean pies, ensuring that new generations can enjoy and appreciate this historically significant dish. Additionally, the pie has gained mainstream recognition, appearing in cookbooks, food blogs, and even national media as an example of African American culinary heritage. The bean pie and health consciousness. Elijah Muhammad's advocacy for navy beans was rooted in the idea that they were one of the most nutritious foods available. He taught that navy beans provided essential nutrients, were easy to digest, and could help prevent common diseases such as heart disease and diabetes. Today, the bean pie is often celebrated as a healthier alternative to many other traditional desserts. It lacks the heavy fats and excessive sugars found in commercial baked goods and provides a source of plant-based protein. Modern variations of the bean pie incorporate natural sweeteners, whole grain crusts, and dairy-free alternatives, making it even more accessible to those who follow contemporary health trends. The focus on health and wellness within African American Muslim communities aligns with the broader movement toward plant-based and whole food diets, reinforcing the bean pie's place as a staple of conscious eating. The bean pie in popular culture. As the bean pie grew in popularity, it became a recognizable element of Black Muslim identity in America. References to the pie appear in music, literature, and film, often as a symbol of faith, community, and resilience. Many hip-hop artists and spoken-word poets have referenced the bean pie in their work, acknowledging its role in the cultural landscape of Black America. Some well-known individuals, such as Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X, were known to have appreciated the teachings of Elijah Muhammad, which included dietary reform and the promotion of foods like the bean pie. The pie has also been depicted in films and documentaries about African American Muslim history, further solidifying its role as a cultural artifact. With the rise of artisanal baking and food entrepreneurship, the bean pie has experienced a resurgence in popularity. Younger generations of African American Muslims are finding ways to modernize the recipe while staying true to its roots. This includes gluten-free versions, sugar-free adaptations, and even creative reinterpretations such as bean pie muffins and tarts. Social media has also played a role in preserving and promoting the bean pie tradition. Online platforms allow bakers to share their recipes, sell their products, and educate a global audience about the historical and cultural significance of this dish. As more people seek out authentic and culturally significant foods, the bean pie remains a strong symbol of African American Muslim identity. Its legacy is not just about taste, but about history, faith, and community.
A classic African American Muslim bean pie recipe. Here is a classic bean pie recipe inspired by traditional Nation of Islam teachings. This pie is smooth, custard-like, and full of warm spices. 1 bean pie. This makes 1 standard 9-inch pie. Ingredients for the filling: 1 cup cooked navy beans, drained and mashed or blended smooth. 1 cup evaporated milk or whole milk. 3 large eggs. 1 cup granulated sugar or substitute with brown sugar for a richer taste. 1/2 cup butter, melted. 1 teaspoon pure vanilla extract. 1 teaspoon cinnamon. 1/2 teaspoon nutmeg. 1/2 teaspoon salt. Ingredients. For the pie crust, or use a pre-made 9-inch pie crust: 1 1/4 cups all-purpose flour. 1/2 teaspoon salt. 1/2 cup unsalted butter, cold and diced. 3 to 4 tablespoons ice water. Instructions. Step 1. Prepare the pie crust, if making from scratch. 1. In a bowl, mix flour and salt. 2. Cut in the cold butter using a fork or pastry cutter until the mixture resembles coarse crumbs. 3. Add ice water, 1 tablespoon at a time, mixing until the dough just comes together. 4. Form the dough into a ball, wrap in plastic, and chill for 30 minutes. 5. Roll out the dough on a floured surface and place it into a 9-inch pie pan. Trim and crimp the edges. Step 2. Prepare the bean pie. Filling 1. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, 175 degrees Celsius. 2. In a blender or food processor, blend the cooked navy beans, eggs, sugar, milk, melted butter, vanilla, cinnamon, nutmeg, and salt until completely smooth. 3. pour the filling into the prepared pie crust. Step 3. Bake the pie 1. Place the pie in the oven and bake for 45 to 50 minutes, or until the center is set and slightly firm to the touch. 2. Allow the pie to cool for at least 1 hour before slicing. Step 4. Serve and enjoy. Serve warm or chilled. Pair it with whipped cream or enjoy it plain. The bean pie is much more than just a dessert. It is a symbol of history, culture, and empowerment for African American Muslims. Born out of the teachings of Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam, the pie represents a commitment to healthy eating, self-sufficiency, and cultural identity. Its legacy continues to thrive, connecting generations of African American Muslims to a tradition that blends faith, food, and resilience. Whether sold on street corners, served at family gatherings, or enjoyed in homes across the country, the bean pie remains a cherished part of African American Muslim history.